when I get up in the morning, usually the first thing I do, besides go to the bathroom, is I check the news, and then I'll check the weather, and then I'll check the YouTube comments. And quite often somebody will ask a question, and it's the type of question that it's sometimes easier to show you than to tell you. And anyway, today I thought, you know what, I usually forget to talk about the comments. So I wrote it down. And one of the comments was this: why not make this lower arm here so it would articulate the way I did the upper arm? Now, I had actually thought of that, and I almost did it. I almost cut this off, and then I realized, well, no, I don't have to. The reason being is, all I have to do is slide this back and forth and get this in the right place. And unless I was extremely lucky, this one will be in the wrong place. That's why I made this little articulating piece here. Now, if the drawing that I had done was really, really accurate, well then probably I could transfer that out into the real thing. Anyway, I think you know what I'm saying. You can get this one right, or you can get this one right, but then the other one is going to be wrong. So that's why I made one that was adjustable and not the other. I hope that made sense. Another one, somebody asked me, he says, why not increase the size of the bearing? Would that help? And yes, it sort of would, but not that much. What really is producing the thrust, although a larger bearing, the arc would be larger to go around than a small bearing. What's really producing the thrust is this surface right here that's angled like this, so that the bearing kind of gets pushed away as it goes past. Anyway, I think I'm not being all that clear here with that. So that's why I didn't use a larger bearing. And then I mentioned something to the effect of, I don't want to have to buy anything for this, then I absolutely have to. Right now, everything you see I've had in the workshop kicking around. These little bearings, which are rather unusual to have, I've had them for about 27 years. I just never used them until now. The only thing I bought is this 3/8 shaft that I turned down a couple of weeks ago. And I got that at Home Depot. I can't remember how much that was. It was around $10, maybe less. I mean, how much is a piece of rod 3/8 in diameter? It's not that expensive. Everything else I've had, this really nice oak that you see here, that was left over from a clock project that I did. And everything I've had, these 1x3s, kicking around in the scrap wood room. Yeah, so anyway, I don't want to be spending any more money on this than I have to, because I know that it's not going to be a thing of beauty. If I wanted to make something really, really nice, well then I'd be out and I'd be buying all really nice wood like this, and I'd be crafting it just really, really, really nice. Like some of these sort of things you see in museums that were made maybe 300-400 years ago. People spent years making stuff, and they'd spend days making one little part and just hand rubbing everything and making it look really, really nice. Well, I don't want to spend that much time. I just want to see if this will work. The main idea is, will it work with the bearings? How much will the bearings decrease the friction? And I'm finding that they are working very, very effectively. Yeah, anyway, last night I came down here and I was sitting here looking at it, and you know how it goes. You poke at this and you poke at that, and next thing you know, you've done a whole bunch of stuff. Well, I've got the spring mounted, and as you can see, I put the main weights on here, and I actually tried it last night, and it actually seems to work. I'll see if I can get it going again for you. Now, some things aren't lined up quite as well as they should be, or could be rather. The weak spot right now is this articulating finger. And what's happening is that sometimes it will slowly, from the continual knocking, it will get loose. When I do it on the final assembly, I will glue this in place with crazy glue so it won't be getting knocked loose. Otherwise this thing would probably go all day, except that the winding mechanism that I've got rigged up here is just a weight with a string over this wheel and hanging down. I suppose it weighs a couple of pounds. Well, that'll unwind, but it should go for a few minutes. What I do want to do is time it. It has to be at least 30 seconds from one complete oscillation. That is to go over and back. In other words, it should tick about once every 15 seconds. Yeah. I'll move the camera and you can watch this. My plan right now is to just let it run for 3 or 4 minutes. I want to see if it is increasing or decreasing the amount of the arc. In other words, is it sort of running down, or is it able to keep itself going at a steady pace? Not pace, but strength. And also I want to time it and see if it's 30 seconds or more for complete oscillation, or 15 seconds per tick. Now when I'm regulating the beat in a regular grandfather clock movement, which ticks every second, that's called a royal beat, well, you try and get the beats so that they're evenly spaced. In other words, it's supposed to tick once every second, like tick, 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 tick. And if it goes tick, 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 well, it might be keeping perfect time, but it just doesn't sound right. Now, in this clock, the regulating the beat will be almost impossible, and especially when they're going to be 15 seconds apart, it's going to be hard to tell if one is, say, 17 and the other one is 13 or something like that. Anyway, I'm not worried about that, so what we're going to do is we're going to time it every other beat. How much time is there in between every other beat? And there should be 30 seconds or more. If it's running a little bit too fast, well, then I got a problem, because as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be a little bit hard to slow down. Whereas speeding it up is quite easy. You just move the weights in. you stuck with me while that beautiful classical music was playing, you will have noticed that the ticks were more than 30 seconds apart. Good news. And also good news. You may have noticed that the arc increased, not decreased. So that means that it wouldn't slowly come to a stop, at least for that given, weight that was driving it. And I might have even been able to decrease the weight a little bit. Anyway, we'll worry about that later. Now, if you're looking at that little insert from 5 minutes earlier, you're going to notice that the intensity is a little bit less than it is right now. Same speed, less intensity. Anyway, lots of video today, but nothing got done. Thanks for watching.